Do you love flower festivals too? If so, you're in the right place, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. All you need to do is to tap the button marked subscribe, and that means next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your tablet or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. And don't forget to click underneath the video. I've got a whole playlist stacked full of other flower festival adventures. Welcome to Newnham Church. Newnham is a tiny village set in the Kent Downs between the A2 and the A20, and today there's a flower festival. Come inside and let's see what delights there are to discover. I'm heading straight up to the altar, lifting my eyes to the windows at the back of the church to look at this absolutely amazing display and arrangements in 3 parts, complete with candles. Just a shame they weren't lit. Did you watch the video I posted for the Ruckinge Flower Festival? They had the same pinkish colour scheme, but their candles were gently flickering in the afternoon sunshine. Let's take a closer look at the based arrangement at the foot of the altar. This is a technique which is quite often used for funeral tributes, most commonly with double chrysanthemums or carnations. It's lovely to see one up close, which has been so expertly executed. I couldn't quite work out what the black sprayed emblem was in the middle. It's only now, as I'm editing the video, I think it's a pair of notes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The arranger here has used a really interesting combination of flowers and foliages, all selected for their contrasting textures and appearance. I just can't take my eyes off the altar though. It's absolutely gorgeous. So mainly featuring what looks to be garden flowers. There are lots of foxgloves giving height. Do you see that little bit of mint off to the left? Little purple flowers squiggling off to the sides. Allium seed heads. Lovely pinkish roses. Gypsophila, or is it gyp? I'm wondering whether it might be elderflower blossom. And then the base of the arrangement's covered up with what looks to be euonymus with a yellowy tinge and variegated hosta leaves. These arrangements were made in flower foam. I could just see it peeking out at the back. In the side chapel, we've got some beautiful yellow flowers, always so difficult to video or film when the flower arrangements are backlit. But the white spikes here are lupins, and that's definitely elderflower hanging down there. Do you see the purple of the mint? Some little pink spray roses, peachy tones of the main rose, and that gorgeous nigella, the blue. I spoke to one of the ladies who was on duty in the afternoon, and she said that the majority of the flowers had come from 2 local gardens in the village. Here the colours have changed on the windowsill alongside. Copper beech used as a trailing foliage at the base, with ferns silhouetted against the church wall. What flowers can you see? There's the blue or the purple of the flag irises, more foxgloves. I think the yellow is a spurge, the euphorbia, and perhaps lady's mantle too. A little bit of white from the roses. All very lovely. And from a wild meadow style arrangement, we go to a very neat arrangement in a box. In a music box, we were invited to turn the handle to play the music box. I was a little bit scared to do it, but the next stage that came along did give the handle a twist. And then over to the side, a little arrangement with pink lupins, chrysanthemums and roses, and lots of lush greenery. I think it's choisia at the base. Just take a moment to look how pristine these flowers are. The chrysanthemums and the roses would have come from a florist or a wholesaler. I'm wondering whether the Ami might have done too. For a modestly sized church, there were so many arrangements and quite hard to stand back and really admire them. The pews in this particular church have little closed doors at the end of them, which is quite an interesting feature. Let's take a closer look at the flowers in this arrangement. I can see beech being used as a foliage, and there's the bright yellowy green spurge, little dots of gyp. Delphinium perhaps, a little flash of purple with the buds. More foxglove. And do you see how this exhibit features a harp? Can you see the green frame on the left-hand side, and then there's vertical strings hanging down? It really was a feast for the eyes. We've got foxgloves, and I can see sweet williams, beautiful pink roses, a huge purple allium head nestled really low into the arrangement, and the purpley foliage off to the right. That's cotinus, and a beautiful little pink blossom. I had to ask the steward at the end whether she knew what it was called. Have a guess in the comments and let me know whether you know what it is. Little sprig of nigella just being silhouetted against the leaded lights of the window. And I'll tell you what, these flower arrangers weren't afraid of going big to create extra impact. So this is a beautiful study in pink and green. I think there might be Sarah Bernhardt pale pink peonies, and then a deeper pink peony, and then the outline being created by ferns and more of the foxgloves. It's actually open gardens in this particular village the day after the flower festival. It would have been so lovely to go and visit and try and work out which gardens the flowers had come from. There's some stachys foliage there with a silvery and velvety look to it. There's beautiful flower heads there. It looks like a variety of ammi. And here's a close-up of that mystery flower. I think it's a member of the hydrangea family. But just look at where the pink contrasts so well with the neon yellow-green of the spurge or euphorbia. I can see a little bit of the natural foliage from the peonies there, and I also spotted in some of the other arrangements some Solomon seal foliage that's just gone over in my garden, so it's no longer got the little white hanging bells on it. And this arrangement was about the same size as the tabletop arrangement I've just shown you, but it had been arranged on a very thin metal pedestal stand. I think all the arrangements had been arranged in flower foam. I wonder why the arrangers chose to do that, especially as they'd used such lovely garden flowers, which were really, really fresh. You could have created all these arrangements by going foam free, using buckets and chicken wire. Ever curious about mechanics and fixings, I went up the steps at the back of the church to have a look to see how the arrangement had been secured on the very steeply sloped windowsill. Can you see the block that's creating a horizontal platform? And that's been connected with little eyelets and pieces of wire to the window frame. From my vantage point, a few steps up at the back of the church, I was able to get an overview of all the arrangements. And then I walked back down the aisle, taking in all the pew ends. There must have been about 8 or 10 of them. They're always designed in this sort of diamond-shaped pattern, and the key is how you're actually going to fix them to the end of the pews. And these have been arranged in plastic paddles, square blocks of plastic with flower foam with a handle, and probably there's a screw fixing to the end of that handle which goes into the wood of the pew. This was another amazing arrangement, and the pictures here really don't do it justice. Again, being backlit by the huge window above the altar. A lovely display in whites and yellows. I'm wondering whether the white cowparsey looking flower is Minoan lace. I hear Linda Varta talking about that on her gardening channel on YouTube. This one here. Perhaps if you know, you can let me know in the comments. Fortunately, at the time I visited, it wasn't too crowded, so I had plenty of time to look at the arrangements and really study what was being used. Lovely white peony there, oxeye daisies off to the right, and here an allium. The purple petals have faded and we're left with that lovely seed head, and then the more traditional euphorbia. And the flowers just went on and on and on up to the ceiling. Standing a little bit further back from the altar this time, and I'm just noticing the two arrangements either side of the altar in the blue vases, just leading your eye upwards and upwards. So off to the side chapel with the yellow meadow style arrangement and the white lupins, and then further round to the foxgloves and the iris arrangement. To the other side of the church there was a little flower arranging corner. You can see the two pedestal stands that weren't used. Again, I was intrigued by this arrangement on the steeply sloping window. So I tucked round the back to see how it was fixed firmly in place. Again, this little wedge had been made from blocks of wood, creating a horizontal platform. It was held in place by a thin piece of green wire fixed to the window frame. And here's that spectacular pink flower again. It's called Ditsia. It seems to be a member of the hydrangea family. So this was sitting on a narrow, flat windowsill with like a Dutch hedge style arrangement, and in the middle, the only arrangement I saw in water, a vase, a conical vase, packed full of mint and the little yellow flowers and the blue flower, which is that called centura? It's like a cornflower. Isn't this just such a striking colour combination with the deep pink and the lime yellowy green? A real zing to it. Amazing that such cottage style flowers can have such a tropical vibe to them. Just as I was leaving, I noticed that I was the only person in the church, so I thought I would have one last look round without getting in the way of the other visitors. This is such a pretty little country church with its whitewashed walls. Can you see the pews with the little doors at the end? And the arrangements looked absolutely stunning against the white backdrops, and the pictures and videos here really don't do them justice. Well, thank you so much for joining me at today's Flower Festival, and let me know in the comments which was your favourite arrangement. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.